Traders, welcome back to Enduring Resolve. Here we work on building up a trading business and getting funded by one of the prop firms. This is my first time back now, first week back after being gone for a 7-week road trip. I started this effort back in the beginning of the summer of 2024. The goal of this video is to go over just my first week of trading. Again, my goal with all these videos is one, hold myself accountable as far as keeping on top of my trading, going through all the evaluations, which I typically do on my own, but it's nice to be able to share that with others with the ultimate goal of building a community of traders, which is where this all is going with Enduring Resolve. So with that, we're going to get right to it. We're going to review how my trading was. Since this is my first video doing a synopsis of all my trading for the last week here, I guess I should lay the ground rules. I don't want to lose all the data that I established at the beginning of the summer. At the beginning of the summer, I was trading in June and July using a strategy I bought from Trade That Swing, very much a price action strategy. So with that, I wanted to just make sure that I was getting my legs underneath me. I did a series of presentations on capturing all the trade activity that I did, doing the reviews that way. That was a little intense. I don't think I'm going to do that going forward. But for sake of history purposes, I want to go ahead and capture all the performance that I had in June and July in this video, and also wrap up what I've done now in this first week of October, where I was trading here. So this video is more than a weekly review. It's going to be both a monthly review. July I didn't trade all month, so I only traded 2 weeks. I'll review that and also review what's happened here. So future videos should simply just be either a weekly review, 3 weekly reviews, and 1 monthly review. So the first 3 weeks of the month, and then the last week of the month just gets wrapped up into the monthly review. And there's a good habit to get into, just to keep track of your trade and make sure that I'm addressing the things that need to be addressed and I'm progressing in my trading strategy. So with that, let's jump right in and take a look at what trading was like back in June of 2024. So now I'm sharing my screen here for 2024, June of 2024. All right, so for June of 2024, what I go over here is the overview, what the profitability was, what the week-to-week performance was, what the price action looked like in June, and how that may or may not have factored into my trading. The performance overall, that's my read of what I did well and what I needed to focus on for July. So here in June, I purchased your US day trading course on June 6th, and I started trading the euros on the 1 minute as he recommended. But then I shifted to trading the euros on the tick chart, and then I shifted to trading the euro futures. So I didn't stay in the Forex, even though it was a Forex strategy. He mentioned that using the strategy within the futures market was feasible. I did really well doing the euros. However, I opted to change to S, which is the S&P futures, because I wasn't able to use the position size that I like. And now this is with the thought in mind that I'm going to use this strategy to eventually get a funded account, right? So if I go with a funded account of $250,000, the max number of contracts that I can trade is 25 contracts. So the largest position size I could take was 25, right? So using 1% of the account size, when it all worked out to be is trading a currency future didn't allow me to make use of the full 25. And that's because the 1% of the account on a currency, I may need 80, 90 contracts to trade 1% of the account. I was risking less than 0.5% per trade. That sounds great, but when you consider the phased into contracts, meaning you're not going to be allowed to trade 25 contracts right off the get-go. Usually it's as you become more profitable and you grow the account, depending on the profitability of the account, they allow you to trade more contracts. So really when you start out, I would only have been trading 5 contracts. So if my true position size to be trading a currency future was going to be 80 to 90 contracts to have a 1% of assets under management at risk per trade, I wasn't going to get there using currency markets. I should be able to use it in any other market. So what better market than the S&P futures? S&P futures is a very liquid market, has a lot of activity going on. It can easily support a 25 contract trade without getting too much slippage, because even if I start trading multiple accounts, I could still continue to trade the S&P futures because of how liquid it is. Even 75 contracts in and out on a single trade isn't that big a deal for the S&P futures. Start breaking 100 contracts in the 1 minute, that starts getting iffy. You are going to start moving the market a little bit, which could impact my fills both going in and out. But I'm not at 75 contracts. I'm at 25 contracts. So that was the switch then to go from the currency futures over to the S&P futures. I learned that I was doing a couple things wrong at how I was implementing Corey's strategy. So I went ahead and readdressed those, and it was a game changer. At the same time, I also set up a mobile trade environment. I was going to have the 7-week road trip with my family. We were going to drive cross country, and I wanted to make sure that I had this setup that I've got here, which is my stationary setup, and where I trade at home. I want to be able to have a mobile setup that I could achieve the same goals and with the same facility that I have here while on the road, and we'll get into that. This is ultimately how I ended the month of June. So as you can see here, phenomenal month, great strategy. I mean, it came out almost $15,000 in profitability. Now, this is all sim trading. This is not live money. That's what it's going to be when I first start getting evaluated by the prop firm. So it carries. The big numbers here really that I like to point out is that it is total net profit of almost 15,000. We're looking at a total number of trades of 137. That's posh. That doesn't really mean anything because I count positions, not trades. This is counting really the number of contracts taken. So 137 contracts were transacted over the month of June. With that, almost 61%, well, to be accurate, 60.5% of trades were profitable. The bulk of those were my long trades. The market was rallying a lot, and not to get too far ahead of myself when we see that. So the long trades were just naturally performing better in the month of June. My average trade was making about $107. My average winning trade was about $509. So all those numbers are pretty healthy. The one that kind of concerns me just a hair is when we look at that profit factor. I'm going all the way back to the top here. I'm looking at row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the fifth row here, profit factor of 1.54. That's not great. So these trades are supposed to be 2 to 1. However, when we look at the long trades, we can see that it's been 2.45 profit factor, while the short trades are coming in at 0.74. So since they were most of the losers, and I'm risking 1% to make 2%, it kind of makes sense that those numbers are the way they are. I'd still personally would like to see that profit factor, the blended or the aggregated profit factor, to be at least 2. But, looking at all the data and just being fair, I think that the aggregate being at 1.54 when the trades were really carried by the long trades, I think it's acceptable. So with that, I think the month overall, absolutely awesome. I can't begin to even complain. This is a phenomenal strategy. So now this is the cumulative net profit per day. Now you can see that there was the last few days. So I started trading on June 18th. I took the first 2 weeks to just go through everything in Corey videos, get really well acquainted, setting up my workspace, setting up my NinjaTrader, make sure I can trade this properly. And we can see that, right off the get-go, I was profitable once I started just making those switches to understanding what was happening and how to execute those trades correctly. There was a drawdown day in there from June 21st, but after that, it was all in the green, just being very strict as to which trades I took. Here we go with price action for the month. See, it was a really solid month in the month of June. A strong rally that month. It looks like we even had a gap up from May as far as the open compared to the close from June to May. So it makes sense that the long trades were paying out that much more than the short trades were. When I look at the price action for the week, these last 3-4 weeks here. Again, good strong rallies. It's cool to see that the last week, even though it was really an inside week with what looks to be like very small price action compared to the previous weeks, was still a nice profitable week for me. So strategy worked really well. It's good to have the context of the market as the whole, but the actual trading itself is all insulated to just that one day. So how much this all factors into the trade itself, not a whole lot, but like I said, the importance of being able to maintain the context of what's happening in the market during the month, the week, the day. I always think that's important because that price action is going to limit or influence the price action that's happening today. Every day is not exactly a bubble and unique from all the other days around it. Now, there are those spectacular days where things blow up or implode, but for the greater part, we can see just from the candles on this weekly chart, the weeks are fairly consistent. We had this region here where things were kind of nuts, but even then, we can see in the market, it was a lot up and down. So it was ranging. So take it all with a grain of salt. Now, daily, I highlighted here the days that I actually traded. Again, you can see that nice big rally that we're talking about in the monthly and the weekly as to why the long trades were working out a lot better than the short trades were. So, again, context. Just got to keep context of what is happening day to day, week to week, month to month. So what I did really well in the month of June was I was in perfect learn mode, kept readdressing how to properly implement the strategy that Corey shows. I kept iterating, working on my Stream Deck. I'll show you an image of that here in the next presentation. And I created kind of a poster that showed my trading strategy. I said that I would eventually print it. I don't think I'm going to do that. It's more than I need. I think what the strategy is simple enough. I don't need a visual aid anymore to execute it. And I say that today. I'm recording this in October of 2024. So it's been several months since this. Back then, it would have made sense, as I put on this slide, to go ahead and print it. Here's the Stream Deck. This is what the Stream Deck is. What I set it up as, all the buttons. So I'm using the Stream Deck to take my position size, select the number of contracts, buy, close. So I'm handling everything from the Stream Deck. So all this text that you see on the Stream Deck, all of that is just a couple of button pushes away from me to do it. So I'm not actually physically typing all of this stuff. So very happy to have that. So my focus for the month of July was to stop fumbling all over the Stream Deck. I mean, it's just getting familiar with what all the buttons were, and then just sometimes just keeping my finger hovering over the button would accidentally have me push it. Really need to stop that. So that was my big focus for July. And plan for July, so I was going to continue to use Corey's first strategy, and I was going to sign up for the Top Step Challenge because of how well I performed in the month of June. However, I was only going to sign up for a $150,000 evaluation account to start on July 8th. Recording this in October, I can say that didn't happen. We'll get into why as we get into the next presentation. I don't have a month of July presentation. I did 2 weeks in July, so we're going to go through the first 2 weeks in July. Why that is, we'll get into it. Same thing, we're going to go over what the profitability was, what the week-to-week performance was, what price action was like for the month, weekly, and daily, and what I didn't do. So short trading week due to the July 4th holiday, only had 3 trading days factored into that. So that would have been the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday because July 4th was a Thursday in 2024. I did not trade on the Friday. Usually the trade day after a major holiday is very thin and just not worth the time. And also it's not worth the time because I didn't work that Friday. So I took that off. I just spent time with the family. And that was also the start of our 7-week road trip. So I really didn't want to get on for that Friday. So short week. But as you can see, it was a great week. Again, all these numbers that we're seeing here are simulated or not simulated account. Total net profit just over $4,000 at $4,300. With this one, again, we're looking at the profit factor being a little on the lower side at 1.35. Again, I just want to keep my eye on that. It's the aggregate. doesn't mean maybe as much as I think it would, but I just need to keep my eye on it. Long trades, again, the risking 1% of the account per trade. So it came in at 0.78, but what carried the day were the short trades here, right? At 2.64 profit factor. So my 2-to-1 was working out for the trades that carried the day. So that's what I'm more concerned about, making sure that I'm not letting winners turn into losers and that I'm actually capturing a good risk to reward over the course of all my trading. Over 3 days, I traded 42 contracts. I have no idea how many positions that was. Now, the average trade numbers, not really going to cover those here. I think that was really good. Max consecutive winners, 16 in a row. Phenomenal. I mean, that's reading the charts really well, understanding when to enter positions and when not to. And 4 consecutive losers. So I credit that with just, again, being able to read that chart really well. Cumulative net profit, 3 trade days. All this information just gives us a big B. I had a good, strong showing, big drawdown on July 2nd, where I pretty much gave back all the profits and then re-earned it back on July 3rd. Here again, this was the price action for that day. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trades. Again, bring back the money on the day 3. So what I did well here is continuously learning and readdress proper implementation of the trading strategy. I kept watching the videos, rewatching the same video, and I kept iterating with the Stream Deck to get it to a point where it was effective. This thing, and I'm pointing at it right now, I know you can't see it on the camera, but it's just like me and my guitars. It's like I just got to know where string number 6 is, where string number 5 is, what fret I'm on. Same thing here. It's like I just got to know where each button is, where my finger is in relation to those buttons, when to get my finger over to the proper button. Once I get that and it becomes part of my flow, I think I'll be cooking with fire. Okay, that ends week 1. Now let's take a look at week 2. So week 2 for July 2nd, for July 2024, excuse me. Go over the same stuff. Again, focusing on the Stream Deck, that's been my biggest Achilles heel. It was a short trading week due to the summer cross country. I only traded 3 days. It didn't count the first two trading days against me because I was trading on the mobile setup, and it was a massive adjustment. And there were a couple of things didn't transfer over. You know, it was like I set it all up here at home. I even started trading at home with it to make sure that everything was working well. Everything worked well, and just like as you would have it, once I was on the road, all the gremlins presented themselves, and I had to work through them. So I disregarded those first 2 trading days. I started getting really better at the Stream Deck during that second week, and it was very difficult to trade while on the road. That's what I immediately learned, which was I may need to start trading the London hours and not the U.S. hours. I do not trade well at all with distractions. I need to be fully engaged. So that was a problem I was having during the road trip. I successfully traded then towards the end of that week. Here's an image of my setup. I've had everything laid out. I had my laptop. There you can see the Stream Deck. I purchased that external monitor on Amazon. I buy high-end stuff when it comes to electronics. I do like to have the dependability that comes with nicer electronics. It's not just the fanciness. Usually they use quality materials when you buy higher-end equipment. That said, the laptop had a number of years on it. Even though it was a very good laptop, it was overheating on me. And that's why you can see it's sitting on top of what is actually a 4-fan system that helped cool it. Eventually, it got to the point where those fans couldn't do anything for them anymore. So that computer bit dust during my road trip. So that's why this July 2nd is the last time that I've got any trade information on it, is because that computer failed on me. I was expecting it to happen. As you can see, I bought the cooling fans to keep it cool, but I was hoping that it would at least survive the summer. I wasn't in the middle of a road trip spending as much money as we were. I was hoping not to have to spend the money on a laptop. I was hoping to save that for now. But yeah, life has its own plans. So that didn't work out, but I was very happy with my mobile setup. It was working really well. What you can't see there very well on the lower right is instead of a mouse, see, yep, it's showing up on the camera. I was using a trackball just because I didn't know how much limited space I would have. That worked out pretty awesome. I was able to shift to going from mouse to trackball really well. Overall, very pleased with my mobile setup. Unfortunately, it didn't last. Going into the second week, another strong showing with a $4,000, almost $4,000 in profitability, 3,700 and change. Going into this, again, you're looking at that profit factor of 1.4, but a strong profit factor because everything was carried by the long trades of 2.39. So we're getting a good 2-to-1 in what we're gauging for our profitability and what's carrying the account. Had 27 contracts traded, right? So not 27 positions taken. Really great percent profitable. So 77.78. I don't know where the NinjaTrader shows me my expectancy, which is the number that we actually use as professional traders, not the win percentage. Win percentage is obviously very important, but the expectancy, that is the number we care about. Next to that would probably be the Sharpe ratio, which I hadn't covered in any of the other analyses that I did. But the Sharpe ratio for this week was 11.32, which is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm sure that Sharpe ratio is using the S&P 500 as the gauge. So no complaints there for that week. Very strong week. Price action here, another gap up coming into the month of July from as far as monthly price action. So long trades made sense they were going to work out. Weekly, strong again to the upside. And the daily, you can see that it whipsawed on me there. The middle day was where the loss happened, but you know what? Cannot complain. So what I keep doing well is the videos like these where I was making all these. I kept the log every time I was doing this. I narrated everything. I wrote and journaled everything that I was doing each day, reviewed it, see what I was doing right, what I was doing wrong. So the purpose of this video here is to, again, document how I'm performing and evaluating my trading. But everything was great. Focus for next week, for the following week, which should have been, it didn't happen. But I love this book. It's a great book, One Good Trade by Mike Bellafiore. He's one of the co-founders of S&B Capital in New York City. It's a prop firm. Hopefully someday I'll trade for him. But this is a good book talking about every time we take a trade, we've got to make sure that it is a good trade. We're playing a game of probabilities as traders. So every time we put money at risk is because we see an opportunity and we're not letting our emotions or anything else interfere into that. So we approach the markets just in pursuit of doing one good trade. And after that trade's complete, we look to do another good trade. So it's one good trade after the next. So that's what I wanted to focus on going forward. And unfortunately, I couldn't do that in the month of July. So I'm going to stop here, reset everything, and we're going to go over my first week in October and how that looked. All I'm going to pull up is my Notion, the new way that I'm documenting my trading journey, and also pull up my performance for October in NinjaTrader. Okay, and we're back now. I'm going to go over what the big changes that happened for October. So at the end of July, what I was using to journal all my activity was this program here called Obsidian. All these are text files. I would write down what I was doing well. I had my pre-trade routine captured here, all the steps I needed to take. The training notes, as I was trading, I was typing these out, saying, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I see. At the end of it, I would capture what I needed to do for the next trading day, analyze what I did well, what I needed to improve, and I would capture the snapshots that you see in those slides and put in here, along with the summary and any questions that I generated from that trading day. This is working out awesome. I mean, I've done similar things like this in the past, but it's like I came from a swing trading world, not a day trading world, so it's been a little bit of adjustment The problem was when my computer crashed and bit the big one and just overheated for this last time. This is a local program. So all the files that were on here, these files, yes, they were saved on the cloud. So they were in my OneDrive, but I couldn't access them readily without getting another Windows computer and getting access to all that. So long story short, I lost access to this. And it's fine because I didn't trade, but the lesson learned was I don't want something that lives on a computer ever. Like that's, I know, as an IT project manager, I should have known better. But it's fine that the file was not local, it was in the cloud, but that I was married to having a Windows computer to run this program, and this program doesn't run in the cloud. That's a limitation I don't want to be in again. So I shifted away from that. Now I'm using this, which is Notion. I've got the desktop application here, but this is also available online. And within here, I do have this trading journal that I keep all the trades. Same thing, I've got the pre-trade routine in here. I've got my trading notes, whether the London session was tradable, what I did well, what I needed to improve, image of all the charts that shows all the trades I had taken, and my trade performance for that day, and then what my profitability was. Excuse me. And I kept this going through each one of the trade dates. So this has worked out really well. I'm glad I switched this. I don't like that it's all up in Notion, and I'm using the free version. Eventually I'll pay for it. Part of me doesn't want my stuff just hanging on some company's software and site. I'd prefer that it would be in my Dropbox or in my OneDrive, in a place that I feel at least is more secure. At the end of the day, though, this information that's right here, if somebody broke into it and got it, it doesn't have any account information. It doesn't have any way to gain access to my accounts. It's just a function of checklists and a bunch of just brainstorming and just mental diarrhea that just gets spewed all over here. So not really that big a deal if this eventually gets hacked. But it is a consideration that I take into account. I take that risk out of sake of convenience. I can now use this both here as an application, but I can also use it online. And the computer I use to replace the Windows that overheated is a Chromebook. Not going to trade on that. That'll eventually become my backup computer. My desktop that I have right now is over 3 years old, so it's about due for an upgrade. It's a monstrosity. It's a gaming computer. I'll eventually have a video where I go through my whole trading setup, but that will need to be upgraded just for sake of that's technically at its end of useful life. It's got a couple years in it, I'm sure, but I want to have a legit laptop for it. I'll probably buy that towards the end of 2024, and then this Chromebook will become my backup. But until then, I can still use this Notion on this Chromebook here and be able to capture all the information that I need, so that I'm not boggling too much with everything that's going on in here. But yeah, Notion, so far so good. I'm pleased with it, other than the one reservation I have of having to put all my stuff up there. But whatever, that's just life for right now. I prefer it to losing my information because it's on Obsidian, and Obsidian is just a little less flexible. Does a lot of cool stuff. It's just less flexible. So let's turn to our NinjaTrader. Bring this window over. All right, let me shrink this down. So for whatever, make it big. So we're going to look at this past trading week. So we're going to go from the 29th till the 5th. And generate, not a good week, I can tell you that much right now. It was just trying to get back into the swing of things. Went negative $18,000. A lot of it was me just getting the systems back up and going. A lot of test trades that I never reset. So I reset the account from the 17,000 that I had built up from the summer. So I reset the SIM account, started fresh on the beginning of this trading week, which was September 30th. What's tricky about this analysis is that, yes, it was not good trading, but it's hard to gauge all the trading really, because a lot of it was just getting the systems up. My Stream Deck, slight change, not a big change, but even then, like I learned that just becoming reacquainted to the Stream Deck and where I put everything was a challenge. Even like the button pushing to put the text on the chart was something I had to remember, and it was all this was happening on the fly, so it was like I had to relearn my own systems. So a lot of that is factored into what these numbers are. So yes, I'm honoring them. They definitely show the deficiencies that I have. However, I'm not going to beat myself up about them, because they're also reflect a reestablishment of my processes. So if I went day by day, so first day out of the chute, not good at all. Down what would in essence be 10% of the account. A lot of bad trades here. Just my position sizing tool, I was repositioning it a lot. I wasn't working properly, but I was just stumbling so much over myself. That was the big loss there. The second day, going to the 3rd of October, again, big losing day, down about $7,000. Then come the 4th of October, I think this part is cool. I only lost $1,700. Now, that seems ridiculous. Like, right? Why would I say that is bad? Well, let's look at this. Now, if we go to analysis here, if we look here, there was, as we went through, let me see. Now I don't want to go by trades. I want to go by, no, not weekly. I want to go by daily. Oh, yep. If we look up here at the trade dates, this is how I read this. We look at, and this is important as a trader. If we look at day 1, day 2, day 3, or what here is October 1st, October 3rd, October 4th, we see that the first day lost $9,000. Second day lost $7,500. Third day lost $1,700. That's not a small thing, everyone. Like, that is massive progress, right? That is me getting control of my systems again and losing less. In our path to becoming profitable traders, like I didn't start profitable right from the get-go 7 years ago. Losing less is winning. You can still blow up an account. I'm not saying that it's not bad, but what I'm saying is really good for us is when our losses decrease over time. That is progress. In 3 days, I went from a $9,200 loss per day to a $1,700 loss per day. That is what we always want to see as traders, is maybe our profits don't grow as quickly as that, but controlling our losses is what's absolutely critical. The first thing that we are risk managers. That I'm managing my risk better, significantly better as those days went on. I'm very pleased with that. Overall, not pleased with how the week went overall, but after almost 2.5 months of not touching all this stuff and coming back here and fighting the systems and trying to get them to do what the heck it is I want them to do when I need them to do it, that it took 3 days just make that much progress, I'll take that. I'll take that every day of the week, So if I was able to make that much progress in 3 days, I'm very optimistic of what this upcoming week is going to look like. So that's what I did really well. And I started watching Corey's videos again as the week went on. And I'll do that here once a day this week to make sure that my mind is in the game. I'm looking at what I'm supposed to be looking at. That, I'd say, good showing for October, as far as if I give myself the grace that I feel I need to say I still behaved as a professional trader, which is I went in there and just took action and just tried to figure out what was working, what wasn't, and kept fine-tuning that system and limit those losses. So for next week, the goal is to work on the Stream Deck. If I open up my Stream Deck and share that with you all. So this is what my Stream Deck looks like now. I moved some technical analysis buttons from a third page to my second page. I found that slowed me down on that third day, which is what helped me really reduce my losses, and I can show you that here. So if I pull up my trade date for the first trade date here, now look at this chart. Look at that chart. That's not great there, right? I did a couple of trades. I did set some things up, and now compare this chart as far as like how I was reading all this. Now let's compare that to this chart, which is October 4th. Look how much more I was able to narrate and take notes as to what I was seeing, what I was doing. There was a point here where I actually was profitable. If we look at this day's trade, you see I actually had big losses, but I brought those back, took it to a profitable day, and then ended up at a small loss, right? And if we look at this chart, we can see why. I am actually now using these lines. I'm doing technical analysis. I'm forcing my eye to come back and say, hey, do I see triangles? Do I see wedges? Do I see the market going sideways? Do I see a trend breaking out? Do I see pullbacks? And I'm actively putting it on the chart. Usually I discolor the chart. I don't do that. But because my eye wasn't doing that when I started at the beginning of the week, I said, no, it's back to basics. And I started to get conditioning my eye again to go, okay, you know what? I saw this breakout happen here. I saw this kind of squeezing in, saw a triangle forming. I was like, all right, well, a triangle's forming. I'm going to wait for a breakout, one to the upside or the downside. Then I saw that it was really going sideways. But then I put these trend lines in. I said, okay, which way it breaks, I'm going to go that direction. We had a break to the downside, and I started trading that downside. Eventually, I had a couple losers here, this one here and this one here, that kind of took me out. But these here, as you can see, they worked out beautifully. So I had consecutive winning trades. That's what we really want to see, right? And here, maybe I should have been more cautious as to what I was doing. But you know what? It's all fair and good. All fair and good. There's going to be losers. But this is what I want to see myself doing, is going back, making sure I'm looking at technical analysis, making sure I understand where support and resistance are, and that's going to be the focus for this week. On top of that, what I'd like to do with my Stream Deck is I've got this third page here, and right now I've got this trend line, a vertical line, and horizontal line going. What I'd like to do here is really fill it up with technical analysis tools. To be able to quickly measure things. And I've got a ready-to-set tools to be able to map things out on the chart. Even if I come back and just start deleting them off the chart so that it's less cluttered, I just want my eyes back to reading price action the way that I was reading it for the last 7 years. So again, 2.5 months off, and we all get rusty. It's like, you may be a great runner. You take 2.5 months off, you're not going to be running as quick as you were the 2.5 months before. Maybe not. I definitely don't. That's what the last summer has been. I hope you found that useful and helpful as far as to see what's going on in the mind of a trader and how I break down my trade performance and how I identify what needs to get worked on, what worked, what didn't, and how I can improve and keep getting better. Hopefully you'll keep track with me as this continues to go forward and see me improve. I'd love to have you as part of the community. We all achieve our goals together as traders. But with that, keep it green.